Greetings, my children, my offspring, my loved ones. We're here today to discuss
You have
life.
offspring. You have offspring.
That's beside the point. We're here to discuss...
children. And your children are old enough to be watching YouTube. Where do you find these children from?
Here we are again. You, us and you and us, all of us together. That's a song, look it up. And we're here to discuss something very important, counseling. Counseling is the process of mentoring a person or people through a difficult process in their lives. Be it an addiction, a mental issue, a schism between two parties that needs to be mended. It is the process of mending that so that they can go on to bigger and better things in their lives. And when you're in a relationship, you need that. Don't matter if you've been in the relationship for 3 years, 50 years, 17 days. It's good. It's a good idea to get a counselor. You start it early on when you're thinking about like tying the knot, as the French like to say, is when you start getting a counselor. Because the problems that exist, and there are problems that exist, you're two different people, right? The problems that exist can be identified and worked on early on so they don't become those breaking point moments later in the relationship.
But I got Jesus. Why do I need to go to counseling?
Because he assigned people who have understanding into things, right? Who can see back past your blind spot and the other person's blind spot and can look at it from an indifferent viewpoint to help you see, okay, this is your BS, this is your BS.
I'm just going to read the book of Corinthians and Galatians and I'm going to be fine.
And you're going to read 2nd Mark after that?
No. 2nd Genesis.
2nd Genesis.
Yes.
2nd Genesis.
Very helpful.
2nd Genesis.
Yeah.
And so that's what the idea is, what we're talking about today. So counseling, what has it done for you in your relationship with me?
Okay, aside from the fact that I am pro counseling, I am in school to be a counselor too. So I feel like when I talk about counseling, it's almost very biased because it's my field of study, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
I feel like one of the biggest thing counseling has done for me is find words that I do not have to express myself. Expression is hard. Yeah. Or just putting certain emotions into words can be difficult sometimes. And the frustration in between, a counselor can actually bridge that. Like, is this what you feel? Is this what you're thinking? Like, a counselor sometimes helps you process where you have no words for. And it's easier to communicate to the other person and it's not personal. What about you?
For me, having a counselor has been... Well, it's hard for me to even express things sometimes. So having a person who can help coax that out of me has been really helpful. But kind of what you were saying is not knowing how to express this or that in a certain way, because I've never thought about it or pondered it from a certain viewpoint before. And someone who has done this so many times that they're able to, oh, yep, that's what it is. Because back from when I counseled them, this is the same thing. They had that experience. Another reason why is because I know myself, but I don't see myself the way a counselor can see me, right? I can't see the kinks in my armor. I can't see my shortcomings.
Yeah.
And having another vantage point can help me see those, right?
One thing that I really enjoy about going to counseling is, look, your counselor has lived that life. 1, 2, they've had like multiple experiences, so sometimes they see the cracks in your relationship that you do not see because you're so in love, right? And they tell you, hey, this is a behavior right now, right? And you seem to overlook it right now, But I just want to let you know that you should amplify it, because it's going to get worse.
You're not going to always see those things. You're not always going to see them. We can try to, I mean, the more you're around a person, you start to see their little picadillos and their little passive/aggressive/passive-aggressive little things. And you can kind of pick them out. But a counselor, that's another thing. A counselor can help you see beneath all that. See what the root cause of the problem is. What it is, and they can help you weed it out of yourself, so you can help see it for yourself, as opposed to just calling it out. They can help you understand it for yourself. That's another thing. They can see through the skin down to the soul. If you're thinking about a relationship and you're seriously thinking about it, counseling is just the way to go, period. Before the relationship even reaches the point of marriage, always consider getting that person who can look at you both and can help you grow. Because they're not trying to, as much as it might seem like they're not trying to tear you down.
Yeah.
Like, they're not. That's not their goal. Their goal is to help you grow through
your BS.
Yes.
Basically.
You can either choose to let a counselor take you through the process of healing those wounds, or they won't heal and the relationship won't go anywhere.
One of the best things that I love so much that your mom did was sit us down as a couple and ask us certain questions.
Oh yeah.
And this was actually way before we were planning to get married. Actually.
Yeah.
I think it was way before we planned to get married. It was just when because she knew from the beginning that relationship was serious. Yeah. And at some point she was like, hey, have you noticed this? Did you see this? Did you see that? And I was like, oh. And it was really good. That's all I would say. If you ever have a mother-in-law that would sit down and tell you our own child's
picadillos,
and the way she said it in the most amazing way ever, not to scare you away. She picked out the nuances, and she asked us the most amazing questions. Like, have you guys talked about this? Have you guys talked about that? Are you guys on the same page? Everyone we went to always asked similar questions. They wanted to know if we're on the same page about certain things. I remember, I don't know if it's my mom or someone else that always asks this question. Like, one thing that I learned over time from picking a spouse, or from picking a spouse in general, is when you pick a spouse, do you trust them that if you die, and if you die and you have kids, that they will pick the right person to raise your kids? Those are the kind of difficult questions that you don't expect to hear in the process of counseling. It's like, oh, can I trust this person that if I ever passed away and I had kids, or if I had a business, would my business die or would they continue it? Those nuances, that nobody wants to think about.
You better think about them. If you get the relationship serious, you need to think about them, because it's very possible. The tomorrow's not promised to anybody. So the tomorrow of your business, the tomorrow of your family, the tomorrow of your own life, the tomorrow for anything, nothing is promised. So thinking about that early on and getting to the point where you're willing to say yes. When you get to the point where you can say yes, that's when you're really ready to take the relationship to the next level. If you can't get to that point, then that just means you haven't found the one yet.
Or maybe you haven't found your own.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably even more accurate.
So what else is an advantage of going to counseling?
Well, the counselor himself is great. He's got a sense of humor. He tells us like it is. He does. No fluff. Because he's been married for how many decades? So he knows marriage. He's been there. He just tells us exactly, okay, well, you need to work on this. And he assigns us books to read, which we haven't really read. But
he did assign us a book to read. And what was beautiful about this book was the book had a lot. The book had 20% to do with relationship.
True. And
it was 80% about your personal life.
Yeah, your personal life and your own. What was the book?
Identity.
Yeah, Identity. It was called Rest Assured by, I don't know the author, but it was about breaking free of the need to be perfect. Because, not shocker, get ready. You're not perfect. Crazy, right? But you're not perfect. And that's okay. Perfect. That's okay. That's all right. That is okay.
That's another thing. Going to counseling crashes your expectations about marriage, which sounds, I love the idea of relationship goals. Mm-hmm. Love all that, but I'm so sorry to announce to you that every relationship has its own ups and downs.
Yeah, it's not going to be just a straight uphill. It's going to have these.
Such is life.
That's okay. That's okay. It's going to have some rough times where you're upset with each other or when you're da-da-da. But that's just part of the process. You're two different people. You're going to make each other mad. That's what it is, right?
It is
what it is. Things about you. Oh, what's one thing that our counselor pointed to us is that the things in me that bother her and the things in her that bother me are places where we are supposed to, or we can improve, we can heal from things. Mm-hmm. If that person wasn't in our life to poke those buttons, we would never be made aware of them. Mm-hmm. So it's a good thing. Count it all joy when you go through all kinds of trials, because your testing produces perseverance. As you continue to be tested by this person, she's pretty trusting. No, just kidding. You'll see things about yourself like, wow, why do I get mad about that? That's weird. Like, you put it that way, and the counselor will break that down to you like, you put it that way. The fact that she forgot to sweep that puddle on that little thing,
which
on the ground.
Is actually something that I do.
I wasn't even thinking about that. I wasn't even thinking about that.
It's something that I do.
If she forgets to turn the TV on or sweep the little pile on the ground, why does it bother me so much?
Yeah.
And you'll start to think about, and then you'll start to get to the core. Oh, that's why trauma caused that, or whatever it is. So whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that I learned from going to counseling was understanding that you bring your family dynamics and all your trauma, and you bring it into your marriage, forgetting that the other person didn't experience any of it.
Right, and that's part of it. Is the counselor will help you and your partner whittle down the source of these issues so that you two individually can help unpack your trauma to each other, right?
Yes, because I wasn't there for how many years of your life, and you weren't there for this many years of my life, so you don't really know the story. What is your recommendation?
Get a counselor.
Okay, that's it. Premarital, postmarital, or personal counseling? Or do you think you should?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So
I agree.
All of them.
Mm-hmm. I think as an individual, as a person in general, you should either have somebody you can confide in, mm-hmm. or you should just have a counselor. And I say this, it's good to have people you can confide in. I love it. So we met an auntie recently, and we asked her, and she's been married for like 30-something years.
Some odd years. Yeah.
Like 35. And we asked her a question about, like, what would she say to us about marriage? And she said this, and it still hasn't clicked in my head. Mm-hmm. She said, there's no best friend in marriage. She said, it is when you were joined with one person. Keep it that way. If you have a problem, outsource it to a counselor.
Not to a best friend.
Or family members. Because one thing I learned about reporting stuff to family members, if mine ever did something and I reported it to my sister, what would happen in the process is I would forgive him, most likely, but my sister might not.
Right. She doesn't know the whole story.
She doesn't know the whole story. She wasn't there.
And then now I have her sister who doesn't like me for whatever reason. I don't know.
But it might actually be something you did wrong.
Yes, but she wasn't there for the whole story, and I don't know why she's mad at me all of a sudden.
Yes, but that's why they say and I learned this the hard way with my friendships, mm-hmm. that you do not vent to an external party about a situation.
That isn't a counselor.
That is not a counselor. You vent to the person in the situation, because the idea, the reason why you talk about a problem is, one, to be heard, which is great, but also to be resolved.
Yes, to resolve it so that you can move past whatever is causing this issue now, to uncover even more, right? Because that way, darkness is coming out, so that light is replacing it. You see? It's more, and the relationship becomes more whole that way. That's what you want. You're aiming for wholeness and to be connected to that person.
Yes, the goal, and in Danny Silk's word, the goal is always connection.
To be and remain connected to that person in everything, and to be truthful and raw with them. The counselor will help you do just that. So
thank you for Jesus, but you also need therapy.
Thank you for Jesus, but get a therapist.
Thank you.
And good night. See you later, people.